Hello, everyone, and welcome to one of our Noor Riyadh talks, part of our Noor Riyadh festival, the first activation of Riyadh art. Today, I'm very pleased to introduce my two guests, Lucas Diman and Sarah AlAshri, where we are discussing participatory art. This community engagement aspect where we are really looking into what art is for us and how we engage in multiple and different ways. So thank you, Lucas and Sarah. I'll be introducing you both. Lucas Diman here is the founder and director of the professional creative company New Heroes. In the past 13 years, Lucas and his team created over 50 projects in over 21 different countries. The work of Lucas and New Heroes got a lot of international attention and nominations and awards across the globe. He is also the co-founder of Bio-Based Creations, aiming to use storytelling and imagination to stimulate the transition and to have a more sustainable world. And besides this work, Lucas is also a TV host, so this is going to be a very engaging and fun conversation and talk. So very happy to be here with you, Lucas.
Thank
Sarah
you.
Here as well, who is a multidisciplinary visual artist and curator that is based in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and now is a co-chair as well of the Saudi Art Initiative, as well as a curator. Sarah's work examines the relationship between physical and virtual identities, which I think across these dimensions and times is a very intriguing and exciting piece of work. So thank you to you both. I'm very happy and pleased to have you join us. And perhaps we can start with you, Lucas, and to understand further what can be our participatory art. And to you, how do this experience translate in the work that we've had in Riyadh?
Thank you, Shad, for this very extensive introduction. Now the pressure is on with me being a TV host, but I will do it in just me as an artist style. So then, I prepared a little presentation, if that is okay, because you asked me what is participatory art. But first I would like to say, what is it that we do so that I can explain how it works for us. So welcome, everybody. I am the director of company New Heroes. I started this together with two other people 13 years ago when I was a lot younger, had more hair than I have now. And we have actually three divisions. Next, one part is that we do multidisciplinary storytelling. That means that we actually create stories with different disciplines. The second is that we do assignments from organizations or companies that ask us to do storytelling, non-commercial, but do storytelling. And the third and latest organization that we have under our umbrella is Bio-Based Creations. So we build installations out of nature. I will show one of them later on in this presentation. Then next, what for us is the most important thing is the revaluation of what is of value. Let me explain that. What is of value? What do we think is important in life? Somehow, at this moment in time, it seems that what is of value is money driven, is individualistic driven. That means you trying to get as much money and social status as possible. So you drain nature resources, you don't look for solidarity, you don't look for other people. Inequality is growing and we are going to a disaster if we don't change our ways. We believe that times are changing, that people are understanding, especially the young people, that we have to do it differently, work more with nature, with each other, for each other, and that status should be about responsibility towards a community and not just for yourself. So we believe that there's a new value system coming on, and as artists, we'd like to contribute to that new system of value. That is the reason why I get up in the morning and work till late in the evening without any friends or social life. That last thing was irony. I do have one friend. I will show you participation. So they asked me, what is participatory art? And my first reaction was, I have no idea. We just create and other people call it names. But if we look into participatory art, it's very important that we understand that there are many different ways of doing participation. There's not just one small kind. You can do, for example, participation at different moments in the creating process. You can say, I need people at the beginning to help me create this process, or during, because if people don't contribute, there is no art. Or when the artwork is already finished, that you have people who participate with the artwork, or that the artwork is interactional, for example. So there are many different little aspects. And I want you just to understand this or to get a feeling about this, I want to show you a few examples of my own work so I can explain this a little bit more. The first example, yes, is See Me. That's what it says in Dutch, See Me. And this is a hospital, big hospital in Holland. And we worked with students, with nurses, with doctors to actually create this piece of art. We asked them all to shut windows. They helped us all night long. And then for 3 days, you could see in the city of Rotterdam, See Me. Why? Because we wanted people to pay more attention to the people who help our poor and our sick people. So the nurses, the doctors, but also the people in administration and the technical people who all work in that building, while the building on the left is for the real sick people. So we said, please look also at the people who work many hours to help our sick. This worked perfectly, but it's participation at the beginning of a project. The next slide shows participation during a project. I don't know if the people who view this know The Fight Club. It's a book and a movie with Brad Pitt and Edward Norton. The Fight Club, we made a play about the Fight Club because it's about new systems, trying to understand where's the world going to. But people, the audience, could actually fight during the performance. So they could participate, but like really play a role. They could talk back, we asked questions, but they could actually fight. We did this show all over the world, and all over the world, people were fighting in a good, not in a competitive, not in an angry, but in a good way with each other. It was beautiful. The next project, so we had participation before, we had participation during. This is another level of participation. This is called Dove. It's a big bird, for those who don't see it. It's a big bird, a dove. And it was for a festival about peace. In this festival was on a huge terrain, no houses, nothing. But around that terrain were little villages. And those people had nothing to do with the festival. And we were like, whoa, whoa, whoa. If you do a festival about peace, you have to involve the people around it, you know? And we said, okay, what is peace? It's about peace in your head. Not only peace in the world because there are no wars, but also peace in your head. So we asked people, please donate 1 pillow to create this dove that is about mental peace in your head. So 1,000 people donated pillows. We needed 1,000. So this is participation. If people would not want to participate, we have no artwork, or there would be empty holes in the dove. So this is with people you created, or there is no artwork, or it's not complete. The next project that we done, just to give you different examples of participation, this is a Guinness World Record that we made. This is the biggest cookie mosaic in the world. This is 20,582 cookies. And it's a Chagall painting that is made together with the people that live around the airport of Schiphol, which is the biggest airport in Holland. And the airport is expanding. All the people, farmers, people who've been living there for years have to move. So we said, let's together create a work that says, we are happy that we are here. Please don't forget us, right? So we baked together with all the villages. We baked 20,000 cookies. We put it together, and then we gave the cookies to all the people to eat. So the whole piece, the whole art piece was eaten, by the way. So this is participation on all the different levels. If people would not help us, no Guinness Book of Records. If people would not eat it, no record. So the art really exists because of the people helping us. We only had the idea. But something completely different, the next slide. A completely different artwork that we did is eye. And we can already go to the next slide. These were big eyes that we hang on buildings, as you can see, 5 of them. And this is completely different. The audience paid a ticket to get into the eye. You were sitting in an eye, hanging outside of the building, looking through the eye. And the eye would close itself. Then you saw an animation, beautifully made. And then it opened itself again, and you looked to the city. Why is this participation? Because the people on the streets saw an eye with people sitting in there. So behind the eye, when it opened, you always saw another person. So as a sort of mirroring reflection, like there's me in there, but then another version of me. So the participants of the project became actually a part of the whole installation. So a completely different way of being a participatory art. Then the next project, I have 3 more. This is like literally people being the art piece. We wrote a sentence, you can see it on the next slide. I will translate it into English. Now it's up to you, me, us. That's what it says. 1,000 people of all different nationalities and cultures in Ostende, which is a city by the beach in Belgium, where I'm from, came together to write, it's up to you, me, us. We have to do this together. And we as artists wanted to write this with the people. So if the people wouldn't come, no artwork. This is the most participatory you can get. It's because the people are the artwork. One more. is that we made Sketch, which is the next one. And this is completely different. This is actually, we had artists, architects, and people who can draw, you know, real artists. And they were asking the people, the passersby, like, what do you miss in your city and why? So they were interviewing the people. So the people gave their ideas to the artists. The artists were being professional, and professionally they were sketching the ideas of the people, and we hang them in the installation, which was also the exposition room. So there was an expo being made with the ideas of the people, but then the professional artists drew them. So the participation is now from the audience is the ideas. And then the last example I want to show you to show the wide span of possibilities. The last project is the Growing Pavilion. This is participation with other artists. So this is a completely 100% nature-based pavilion that we made. The outside, what you see is mushrooms. So the outside is made out of mushrooms. And if you go one slide more, you can see the inside. Why do I show this? Because this was never been done before. A pavilion completely made out of nature. The floor, for example, is made out of potato and cattail and burlap that you think, how? Because we work together with all different artists and designers who never worked together before. We put them together. We said, guys and girls, we need your participation to create an artwork together. Otherwise, we will never reach this next vision of how we can build. So this is participation not with the audience, but with other artists and designers. Now, in conclusion, my last slide, I would say all art is participatory, because in all art, you need an audience to play the role of looking, feeling, being part of. But good art means that the participation has a meaning, that it's not just where some people do things, but it doesn't matter, you know, my art will always work. Good art means that the participation has meaning, so that the audience or the people who you ask to participate have actually a part in the artwork. If they don't do it, it changes the artwork. If they do differently, it changes the artwork, or it just doesn't exist. So for me, good art means that the participation of the artist or the audience or all the rest has actually a meaning. Otherwise, it's just design or it's just emptiness. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That is very fascinating, Lucas, and it brings a lot of questions. If you don't mind me maybe asking you something. So part of Noor Riyadh, for example, is the participation of all audiences, and you know, part of the whole vision is to, you know, have the citizens of Riyadh, as we see we Light Riyadh here in the picture. One thing that I would like to ask about is maybe before going into Light Riyadh, is some people would say, well, if visitors would come, sparking joy, you know, and having happy experiences where they're really interacting with a beautiful piece is enough. How would you say, you know, or respond to that statement?
I would say it is enough if that is the goal of the artist. So I think when you create something, either it's very personal, could be also very personal, that you say, I don't care what the audience thinks, I just wanted to create this, and every reaction is good. That's also allowed. You know, it doesn't, any goal that you have as an artist is the beginning of everything. So you create because you want to say something, or you feel something, or you have this thing in you, this necessity that has to come out. That's why you create art and are not a banker or something, right? Because you need to say something. If your message does not come across, you failed as an artist. But it can come across to some people and not to other people. You know, you cannot win them all. But if your message as an artist is just let people have fun, okay, then great if they have fun. But if your message would be let's have fun and none of them have fun, then actually it's not good art, because it never worked, right? But the moment you reach one person, it works.
That's beautiful. Can you tell us just a bit about We Light Riyadh as an introduction of how it's one of our artworks in the festival?
Yes. So I was in Saudi a few times before for other projects, and I fell in love with the country because I knew nothing about it. So I only had prejudice before I went there. I had all these ideas. This is Saudi. It's going to be like that. I already know everything because, you know, I'm a white boy from Belgium. So I have this prepossessed idea that I know everything. I came to Saudi. I was immediately attracted by the fact that there are so many young people full of energy. I teach there to a class of 70 women, and they had more questions than I've ever had. Very good, very intelligent questions. And it was like, and I saw so many different cultures, different beliefs, different kind of people walking together, especially in Riyadh. So I said, people should know this. People should know that it's a city that is very vibrant with a lot of young people, with a lot of diverse cultures and identities, and we have to celebrate this. This was one thing. The second thing was, because it's about light, right? The whole festival is celebrating light. I said, okay, I don't want to come with those very cool, fancy, expensive lights that people say, wow, they brought this from somewhere. I want to use the light that is already in the city. So we said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to say we Light Riyadh, and we mean the people. The people of Riyadh give light to the city, right? But we're going to write it with bedside lamps. So the lamps they have at home, they have in there before they go to sleep, or when they wake up, it's the first thing that gives them light. You know, their little bedside lamp. When they are worried, they stay up, put the light. When they are happy, when they are very happy, you know, the light is on. Anyway, the lights, right? And we said, okay, we're going to ask people, what gives you light in your life, in yourself, and why? So really interview them, like on a personal level, because I believe that the next step for a lot of young people in Riyadh is not being afraid to be, you know, to show yourself with all your emotions, because there's a pressure on young people all over the world to be perfect, you know, to be high status, to be perfect, to know everything, have everything under control. And I believe it's very important that the soft skills, what makes you vulnerable, what makes you human, you can also express. And art is the best way to do that. So we said, let's collect lights, and we get inspiration from the people of Riyadh. We ask them to take a picture of the bedside lamp so we know what is happening behind the doors, and answer the question, what gives you light and why? We put it together with a QR code on the light, so people who go to the installation can scan it and hear or read the inner thoughts of the people of Riyadh.
I wonder also, what's the importance of adding the question why? So saying what brings you light and why. Why do we need the why?
First of all, Sarah, you already answered it, because you said, why do we need the why? Because if you ask why, then you go deeper. If you ask, actually, this is a very good question, because when we talk about participation art, right? If I ask you, can you please give me that lamp? And you give it to me, I can say, you took part in my installation, right? But people said, no, I just did what you asked, you know? It was not me, I just was an instrument to your thoughts, right? So if I just say, please do this, or please tell me this, then it's all about me and not the other person. If I ask them, please tell me, but go deeper, so why, then it's about that person. So if you want an answer that helps me, I just say, what gives you light? And you say, I don't know, pancakes. And I'm saying, thank you, I just have an answer, but I don't want to listen to you, right? Yes. I think a lot of relationships are like that. You know, people don't really talk to each other, they talk to themselves, looking at the other one. But if you ask why, like, how are you feeling, like really feeling? How are you doing, like really? Are you still happy with what you're doing? Why are you happy? And if people have to think, then they can really be. And people like to think, although they're also afraid of thinking. So I think we as artists should not be afraid to go to the part where people maybe feel uncomfortable, but not too much, so that they actually open up a little bit more. If you do that, you let people be. And I believe then, if you're allowed to be, then you can, you know, breathe a little bit more, feel the air a little bit more, and are human. You know?
Definitely. Thank you so much, Lucas. This has been enlightening, and pun not intended, but definitely something that brings us light. I would love to also ask Sarah, who's been in the project management team of We Light Riyadh. I know you've been all in this process of actually interviewing people and part of the team that really got into this element of expression and element of really seeing even these different lamp pieces and artworks. So generally, Sarah, how did this experience influence you, first of all, before we speak about the stories around us?
At first, I was skeptical about people speaking out, especially Saudis. Like, for example, me, at first I started questioning my family, my friends, so it was easier to get an answer out of them, but still there's this wall. But when our interviewer Hind got out like to the people and started questioning them, I was shocked that people started opening up, like to a stranger on that park, like, hi, can I ask you a question about these lamps? And they're like, yeah, sure. Then at first they're a bit scared. Then she starts asking like questions aside from the what gives you light and why, like what do you love to do? What's your hobby? Like, do you travel? Do you read? Then she gives them the question, which opens up a conversation between strangers, and you can like feel it. And I love that about people, because I've never had a conversation with a total stranger. Like, I get creeped out or I get scared. So yeah, this part of like Saudi, let's say, I was shocked that people started talking about deep stuff and they weren't afraid to say anything. But it was time. We gave them time to like say these things. Like, we didn't want them to go too deep, so they were uncomfortable or they were gonna say something they don't want to say. So we gave them the like a comforting questions with the hint, the interviewer. So it was amazing.
That sounds incredible, and definitely like a life-changing experience when we experience something like that for the first time, especially in our communities. I think one element that I also hear from you, Sarah, is the element of expression, and sometimes how this is something entirely new for us, of how just to express and having this opportunity. And what you were offering is also a sense of balance by not pushing too deeply, but also not to be on the surface. It's fascinating as well to see all of these different pictures, and I can see you here in the middle, kind of sorting through. Can you tell us about the variety of the lamps that we see, and why is that? We have so many different shapes and sizes and colors.
Basically, when I first started, I researched like, what do people in Saudi have in their homes? It's hard to ask them. So I called my like family members, my friends, and asked them. Then I started going online, like with the hashtag, let's say, lamba or abajara. And I'm like looking through the pictures and seeing like, what do people have? And it's different from what, like, Saudi is different from, let's say, Amsterdam or anywhere else in the world. They have, like me, sometimes I like the antique stuff. So I don't like the modern, but it's hard to get like these in Haraj. When I went there, I found so many, and they're like good prices, and I was shocked.
Can you tell us a little bit about like your experience? Do you have tips for people looking for lights? Which street to go to?
There's a street called the Lighting Street in Malad, which I was shocked at the variety of lamps there, because in my head I am like IKEA and nothing else. So when I went there, I was calling my mother. I was like, there's so many lamps there. Why aren't we getting from there? She was like, oh, now you're the expert, so we're gonna get new lamps when you finish this. I'm like, okay. Good thing.
What did you notice as well about the lamps in Saudi? Because you mentioned a very interesting point that lamps can be different across different cities or countries, and even that is a unique experience. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Basically, it depends on the ages too. Like for my age or younger, they're gonna get the modern lamps without any drawing, without any, like, nothing on it. Like for my mother, I actually took her 2 lamps. It's part of the artwork. It's more antique. There's designs. There's like a carving on it. So everyone has their own like taste in it. So it depends. Like, we now have exposure to the internet, so we can see an influencer or something who has this lamp, so we're gonna buy that. But before, they didn't have that, so they're going out of their own tastes. So I like that. When I bought some lamps, they were so antique that some of the people, when we were building, were pointing at it. They were old, and she told me that, can I have that? Can you keep it for me after the festival? And I told her, you can come after the festival and maybe I can hook you up, but right now I can't.
I heard some people thought this was also a bazaar.
Yes, a lot of people thought it was a bazaar, and I told them it's not, but maybe it will be. But because the way it's put like on the ground, it's a bazaar experience, let's say, here in Saudi. So yeah, a lot of people asked me if they can buy it, and yeah.
That's really interesting, and also a different way of engaging people as they connect to these pieces. I know we have the stories as well that is connected to these different art pieces. How would you say the interaction was with people? So now we had the before. The before had the storytelling aspect, understanding all of these different stories, interviewing, diving deeper. Then we had the actual building process and the engagement there. And then afterwards, which is like the after of the installation is happening, how was the engagement in listening to these stories and visiting these pieces? How would you describe this experience?
People were actually shocked, like me, that like people spoke and like told their stories, and we put their names, but we put their first names, so it was kind of it's a stranger. Yeah, it's like Sarah, Munna, and there's so many Sarahs and Munna in Riyadh, so you don't know who it is. And people were really shocked, and like when I went there one time, someone told me that they actually have the same story as this girl, and they were shocked, like, how did she tell it? It's the same story as my life. And I told her that, yeah, sometimes we cross roads, like we all have the same stories maybe. And it was really amazing to see the reaction, like when they were really excited about this because they were part of the building. Since we're building in front of them, a lot of people asked us, when is the opening? When are we going to see this? Can we go up and see it? And I do the advertisement for it. I'm like, 18th of March, you can come. We're going to open 18th of March. So it was really amazing.
Definitely. I think this is such a heartwarming experience also for everyone in the neighborhood and the people around it as they see this park being reshaped and things new happening, which is also very exciting for all the visitors of all ages. It would be really great to maybe have Lucas as well back and Sarah to ask you both, what do you feel has been the purpose of this work of We Light Riyadh in really bringing this to Riyadh for the first time, this kind of participation and this kind of engagement? How did this have an impact on you? And maybe to start with you, Lucas, especially with what you described, what do you feel was the main goal for you as an artist specifically with this piece?
The main goal for me was that people got a feeling that they should not be afraid to share what they feel inside because they are allowed to exist the way they are. And I'm very happy that that worked out because the lamps, of course, represent the diversity of people. So if Sarah would have bought 800 IKEA lamps, then we would have a problem, you know. But it's so nice that you have from mothers to grandmothers to daughters to all kinds of people recognizing themselves in their lamps. So the diversity is in the lamps and in the stories. We were very curious how it would be because we got from all sides like, oh, Saudi people will not open up. Oh, they will say nothing. Oh, it's going to be very difficult. You have to work with people who speak many different languages. So we're very happy that Sarah and her colleagues helped us out a lot because if I would be there and ask them questions, I think I would be hit in the face. You know, they would like, who's that guy? But I'm very happy that we got so many people to open up. And actually, the moment they listened to the stories, we got more stories. So the moment the installation started, we got way more people sending also their stories. So for me, the goal was to let people be and show them that it's okay to be you. And I have the feeling that at least for a small part, of course, because we didn't change the world, but we did get that message across, I think.
Thank you so much, Lucas. For you, Sarah, what do you see as the favorite story element, maybe, from all of these different stories and all of these different experiences? What do you feel really touched you the most?
There was this story about Housewife. So she wanted kids, of course, and she couldn't. And she went to hospitals after hospitals, and she was afraid that, like, she's not gonna have kids ever, and like her husband or something, he's gonna leave her. And she wrote that he told me that I love you, so I'm not gonna leave for a kid, so we can try. And actually, after a few years, he told her we can adopt someone, and she was shocked because here, like, adoption is not really an open option for us. So she told him, if you want, like, we can do this. And after they adopted, she said that her kid now is the light of her life, and he changed so much for us. And like, he brought something to our lives. And I love that story. I read it every time I go to the website. It's so emotional.
I teared up just hearing that story. It's definitely representation of the light that was brought in her life. And that is one of the many beautiful examples. Thank you so much for sharing this as well. I think it was really interesting, Lucas, what you mentioned about good art. And I wonder if by good art, there's also bad art and maybe arrogant art, or art that is maybe not motivated or influenced by the right reasons. What do you feel is not good art? An example of that. As you mentioned, all art is participatory, but what is not really good art in your opinion?
You said many things, so I have to think about how I'm going to answer. Does bad art exist? Because art isn't you can interpret it, and it's a taste, and it's a personal thing how you experience art. So in theory, bad art could exist, but it depends on who looks at it. So I can think something is bad art, someone else doesn't, which makes it already good art for that person. So, you know, it can be, but I think in practice, there's a lot of bad art. For me, personally, I can only say personally, of course, because I'm not the art king or whatever. So I think good art tries to bring across a meaning. And the meaning can be from just superficial, just have fun, could be a very important meaning, to deeper. I think all good art touches to the essence of us as human beings. That means that we are here on the earth trying to understand our lives, trying to search for meaning for what we are doing here, failing and finding that meaning sometimes, succeeding and failing again. You know, we are stumbling through life, which makes us humans. Because animals just go through life and sniff each other's butts, and that's okay. And algorithms know everything, and algorithms don't make mistakes. We as humans, we have this very strange thing that we understand, that we don't understand everything, but we want to understand, but we fail, so we feel miserable, right? That's why we build so many things, because we want to feel alive, because we can't deal with death. That's the whole thing. We know we're going to end, you know, we all understand that we're going to stop living. So what does art do? It gives you a place, whether it's in time or space, where it's okay that you don't know. It's okay that you're human. It's okay that you're searching. And guess what? All the rest is searching as well, right? All art, and I've made for 6 years TV shows about artists in Holland. So I've interviewed many of them, many of the big ones. All artists, even the ones that are very shy and don't like audience, try to get a sense across of this people searching for meaning thing, right? And some of them do it very personal, others do it very open. It doesn't matter. It's all good art. Of course, it should be quality. What you do, everything you do should be quality in the way you do it, but let's put that aside. So for me, the fact that you try to help people feel and being allowed to be people and not superhumans makes you an artist. What happens is that art now is also monetized. It's become this very important way of getting money. So you see a lot of artists just going with the flow. And I don't call them artists. I call them people who make stuff, right? Designers, or they create stuff that looks the way it should look. And people say, well, this is art. Okay, fair enough. But it serves another purpose than being human. It serves a purpose trying not to be human, trying to control everything. So if you use the word arrogant art, yes, I think there's a lot of arrogant art. For some people, they love it, so then it's good art. But I think they miss the meaning of the humbleness of being human, right? But in that way, because they show this, I think, again, it's good art because you see how crazy people are trying to overcome their own death. So if you see this arrogant art in the street sometimes, then you could say, wow, very good, because it reminds me how arrogant people can be in trying to control everything. So
in a way, it's almost like there is no bad thing. It's all reflective, right, and contemplative.
Yes. Yes, I'm afraid that is the nuanced answer to what could have been a very clear statement. Yes.
No, thank you so much. Actually, we have some questions coming for you, Lucas, from YouTube. So I'm going to read these two questions. The first one is, when did you approach participatory art? Meaning, did you start when you were a kid or an adult?
Very good question. As a kid, definitely. I always wanted to create and have an impact with what I did. So as a kid doing plays, when my father and mother used to have a lot of friends coming over for dinner, and my father is a very good cook, so he used to make it like big, and he was cooking for a whole day. And I always created at least a letter or a piece of theater to do with my brothers. They had to be part of it because I wanted to do a statement of the day thing. So as a kid already, but the moment that I knew I wanted to do art was when I was 15 years old. And then I wrote a statement that I was going to be a creator, because in Italy, creatore is someone who creates. And I was on a holiday and I met a person who said, I'm a creatore. I'm a professionally creative person. And I was like, wow, this is my job. I want to be a professionally creative person. I had no idea what I was going to do. I just want to be a professionally creative person. Until today, I am trying to be that. I have no idea if I'm succeeding, but the fun is that you don't have to know, you just have to do.
One of my favorite phrases in Arabic is that we only have to be on the journey. It's not our responsibility to reach the destination. And I feel that's such a profound statement of the human kind of experience. We just do and be. Sarah, I wonder, how about you? When do you feel that the artistic kind of creative expression type of life maybe lured you and you started this journey as well?
When I was a child, of course, I was quiet and I didn't know how to express myself. So I found an outlet through art to express, to say things, to be more expressive. And as time went on, I started talking, I started being social, and I started having friends, real friends. So that way, I think, art built up my personality, my identity, and it made me who I am right now. And I'm really appreciative of being part of this and being an artistic, creative person.
I think this experience is beautiful and so touching to know how it brings us closer to our soul, I feel, in expression. Another question coming in for you as well, Lucas, is, do you believe that this participatory approach can be also applicable in other fields, apart from the arts one?
I think it's a very good question. The answer is definitely yes, yes, yes. So I believe that the moment you think you can do everything alone, you already failed, because you can't, right? The moment you think you shouldn't do anything and leave it to the others, you fail because you can't. So it means that everything you try to do, you need somehow others to help you. So I think life is participatory. You try to go with others. Some people are okay with just a few people. Some people need a lot of people. But I think for me, as long as you understand your own power inside, but also your own vulnerability and your own searching, so your own doubts, and you're not afraid to share all of those. So your strength, the things you know and the things you feel certain about, share it, but also your doubts and your thoughts, then I think you get the real sense of participation. The moment you're only sharing doubts or only sharing strength, then it's a one-sided thing, and people will be too, it's overwhelming, or will be too insecure. They take you over. They take you actually over. It's also what happens a lot. They decide for you. But I think if you, in your search of being a human, are not afraid to be afraid and share that, then amazing things happen. And so whether you do it in art or in a company, you know, I run a company, and we have different people that we work together. We try to do the same thing as we do in art. Be open, be vulnerable, but also have the power to create together. You know, people like that they have a plan, that they're going for something, that they feel part of something, but with their own independency. So I think that is very, very important. And the second thing is that every person is different. So you cannot have like one way to deal with everybody, because then you will hurt someone and other feel that, you know, so you have to try to see how can I reach the same thing, which is a real connection. And with some people it doesn't work, then it's okay. Then they drain your energy, leave them. You know, don't go with people that take your energy. Go with people that exchange energy. That is for me my golden rule. Otherwise I would be tired after 2 hours with some people. So I say, sorry, there's no energy exchange. We don't work.
That's quite important, and I think you touched an important point of the sharing of vulnerability, so that connects us all to our humanity. And it also brings me to this question that is very interesting, that was asked from one of our audiences here, is in museums or generally exhibitions, there can be a distance between the artwork and the spectator, or maybe the spectator can find art intimidating. And this is something I actually heard a lot when I talk to people in different focus groups as part of the community engagement role here, that sometimes there's this sense of elitism that I know, Sarah, as well, you've heard a lot. And is it possible that participatory art can cancel this distance? I'd like to hear from you, Sarah, but also from you, Lucas, on the same question. So, Sarah, art intimidating, art can be distancing. We hear this a lot. What do you think can gap this or bridge this gap, to be accurate?
Actually, participatory art can bring people together. This elite exhibition or artist that reach that point, it can break all of this down and mix all of the people on the same ground. When we worked with we Light Riyadh, we worked with normal people, not artists, not architects, teachers, kids, and everyone. So we don't have that name tag an artist. We just work with people. So it's that there's a bridge. We built a bridge through normal people. We can't have an artist being an artist, just that, and he reached that point. We can have normal people enjoy our art and be part of it and not feel scared to be there. Sometimes when you go to exhibitions and anything here, you can see the same people. It's repetitive. And when we do this, we can see a new form of people. They're not scared to be there. They're not scared to ask questions. They're just there to enjoy the art, not there to be something they're not. And that's why we can break it by this. We can have a new kind of art. We can delete those labels of artists being those elites. They're the people who know so much. They're poets and stuff. So yeah.
That is definitely something so important. What about you, Lucas? How can participatory art maybe help, or maybe other things, in the intimidation found?
First of all, I completely understand the feeling of a lot of people. I have it as well, going to a lot of museums, especially these days, because you don't understand a lot and you have the feeling that you are not allowed to know more, because it just says work by and then you have to understand everything. I think, first of all, art is story. So you create a story. So if you don't tell the story, how can people understand it? So you don't have to explain everything, but please tell the story. I have been doing this for 6 years, every week on Dutch television, explaining the story, telling the story, not explaining, telling the stories. People love it. A broad audience. You tell the stories, why an artist is doing this and what era and where it came from. And then people go oh, wow, now I know the story, I can read. Second of all, artists are not elite. Art is not elite. The people who make the shows around it are elite. The people who create the things around it are elite, because they think we understand this is our world. This is how we talk, you know? So if you don't understand it, you're not part of us. This is completely the opposite of what the purpose of art is. The purpose of art, like I told you, is letting people be people, right? Not all art should be for all people, by the way. I think, there are different levels because there are different kinds. It's okay. But I do believe that if you tell the story of an artwork, then way more people can decide or can be let in and then see if they agree or don't agree or like it or don't like it. But I think the elitist thing, that it's too elite, is not about the artist or the art people, but it's about the people around it.
Definitely. Thank you so much. And we have a question coming for you, Sarah. So in your experience with this project, how would you describe the impact we Light Riyadh had in the community?
It will stay, I think, in the community, because first of all, getting something from their houses and putting it up for the world to see is not something an art piece does. So a lot of people got excited for this artwork because they wanted to see what other people had in their homes, what other people can do with these lamps. And I think this is gonna impact a lot, and it's gonna be an inspiration for a lot of people, a lot of artists like myself. And it expanded so much for me, and I got a new idea of participatory art, not being I bring a human being beside me. I can just bring something from them, and it's amazing. It will change so much in the young people and in the older generation too.
The good news is that people can take lamps with them. We are giving away the lamps. It's participatory also after the artwork. So we're giving lamps back. So some people will have a piece of an artwork in their home, but it's just a bedside lamp with a story. And also online, you can see the films and the photos. You can still read the stories. So we leave it hanging in the big world of the internet so that the stories don't go away.
Can you tell us more about that, Lucas, so people who are watching can know that they can access this?
Yeah, people who are watching now, if it's still the 4th or the 5th of April, because a lot of people watch this later, then you can go to the park and get your own lamp and take it with you home. If it's after the 5th of April, too bad. But the great thing is you go to the website of lightRiyadh.com and then you can actually still read or listen to the stories of people, which is great because actually that, of course, is the essence of the whole artwork. And what I also like is that we had 2,000 people almost every day going up, because people could go up a ladder or a big scaffolding and take a picture of everything, which people love to do, especially young people. And so we don't sell the picture of our artwork. Thousands of people have their picture of our artwork. They can do whatever they want with it. So it's open, it's a democratic process of distributing this art. So our installation will be gone, but the image of the installation, thousands of people are the author of their image of our installation. So they can hang it, they can sell it, they can do whatever they want with it.
Beautiful. So one last closing question. This is an opening kind of heartfelt question of what is your wish for the communities now that such impact is happening in the participatory aspect. And as you mentioned, Lucas, this is across all fields, but art specifically. What is the wish for, whether it's the local community and the global community? So maybe starting with you, Lucas.
My biggest wish is that people can feel part of something that has meaning, that gives them meaning, so that they can feel that they belong and that their life has some meaning, even though they don't know what the bigger picture is, because nobody does. So in a world where people are torn apart, where people are put into little baskets, and now we are looking video-wise, normally we should have met, right? Where people feel alone, a lot of people feel alone or left out, like nobody sees them or hears them. I think in all disciplines, not only art, but everywhere, we should look at validation of people, making them a part of something meaningful. If we can do that at least sometimes a year for people, then their life has meaning. And otherwise we are being not human, but a word that I cannot say on this show now.
Thank you, Lucas. Sarah, what is your wish?
My wish is to delete the leveling of people. Participatory art can do that for you and you don't even know it. it can relate like being this level, being this huge, and it can bring people together. And I wish that it can be practiced more here. It can be practiced here and giving away out of Riyadh, out of Saudi. And more artists, more international artists can even do it here more often. And that's my wish.
I feel very inspired by this whole hour that I did not even feel passing by. Thank you so much, Lucas and Sarah, for your time and being here, sharing such meaningful and impactful, really, aspects of what participatory art is. Very grateful to have you both here, and so much gratitude. I feel lost at words.
And thank you so much for the moderation and the good questions.
Thank you so much, Ahad.
You're most welcome.
Bye.